All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Methane Reduction Demonstration Program information webinar. My name is Mario Menezes, and I will be delivering today's session. A couple of housekeeping notes before we commence. Feel free to use the Teams Q&A feature at any time during today's delivery to submit your questions, and we'll get to them during the Q&A session towards the end. Your microphones and cameras have been disabled and will continue to be disabled in order to avoid any unintended interruptions. This webinar will be recorded and the recording shared on our website for you to reference in the future. At any point, we cannot answer any questions due to the lack of time, and you still have pending questions on the program, the application, and the delivery. Feel free to send us an email at mrdp@ngif.ca, and we'll be happy to address your queries. Today's agenda is strictly going to be centered around the Methane Reduction Demonstration Program. I'm going to go through the overview of the program, the design, the delivery, and how you can submit an application to be considered for funding. Additionally, we're going to give you an overview of ngif Accelerator and hold a Q&A session towards the end. If you're tuning in today to gather insights on any other initiative in ngif's innovation platform, I would recommend you send us an email instead, and we'd be happy to address your queries. Helping me out today is Akhil Bhatt, who's the Chief Operating Officer at ngif Accelerator. Akhil brings forth 2 decades worth of experience spanning across oil and gas, venture capital, and innovation, and also sits across multiple boards and committees within the context of clean tech energy. He is also a part of ngif's executive team. Also helping us out is Danny Phillip, who's responsible for our communication efforts. Akhil, over to you.
Thanks, Myron. So I want to begin by acknowledging the support we have received from Government of Alberta through their TARE program, which is the Technology Innovation and Emission Reduction Program. Through the TARE program, the Alberta government is investing in $29 million in 2 programs to help energy companies lower their emissions specific to methane and develop new technologies needed to keep reducing emissions in the future. To enable that, the first program is the Methane Reduction Demonstration Program, and that's delivered through ngif Accelerator and its Industry Grants Program. And I will speak about the Industry Grants Program in next couple of slides. But this particular program itself is going to look at startups and SMEs to test and demonstrate methane monitoring and reduction technologies at the backyards of energy companies across Alberta, with an intent to advance these solutions towards commercialization. The second program through the support from Government of Alberta is the Methane Reduction Deployment Program, and that's delivered through Emissions Reduction Alberta. And that's very much specific to Alberta oil and gas companies, operators, investing in deploying commercial-ready methane reduction technologies. Before I go into NGIF, just want to maybe highlight the Methane Reduction Deployment Program that's been delivered through Emissions Reduction Alberta. It's a program that will help Alberta-based owners and operators of upstream and midstream oil and gas facilities deploy proven technologies that can reduce methane emissions. The program has been active for a while now, and this is the current status for the Methane Reduction Deployment Program. There are 10 current projects that have been approved and at various stages in their execution. And these 10 projects are coming from 9 participants. The total funding committed as on now is about $5.4 million with total project value of about $11 million. And the eligible technologies under the Methane Reduction Deployment Program kind of falls under these 7 categories, and these are type A to G, ranging from methane slips from engine operations to pneumatics to surface casing vent flows to digital solutions and other that can look into methane slippages from catalytic heaters and gas management. If you have any further questions on Methane Reduction Deployment Program, please reach out to the email here, which is methane@era or eralberta.ca. And if you want to look at the guidelines and the supporting material, there is the link here for you to kind of look and explore. All right. Let's kind of talk about NGIF. NGIF kind of stands for Natural Gas Innovation Fund. And our mandate is to accelerate clean tech innovation and technologies for natural gas that can reduce emissions and improve reliability and affordability for end customers. We do this through an organization structure that you see on your right, but we have an for-profit arm, which is NGF Capital, that offers dilutive financing for clean tech startups to scale their solutions to market. This kind of offers seed and Series A. We have made about 14 investments so far, and are essentially in our harvesting period as on now. NGF Capital, the Clean Tech Ventures Fund 1, is essentially supported by the 7 limited partners who are part of the natural gas industry here in Canada. We also have NGIF Accelerator, which is a not-for-profit organization based out of Calgary. And we are dedicated to advancing clean technology development, industry validation, and commercialization of startups for the natural gas industry. NGIF Accelerator marks its 10th anniversary this year, and this is a decade of de-risking energy innovation through industry collaboration, government partnerships, and commercialization support. NGIF Accelerator currently operates the Industry Grants Program, which is our flagship fund, up and running for the last 10 years. And in addition to this, we are administering and providing commercialization support for the Methane Innovation Collaborative, which was formerly known as the ETC program, Emissions Testing Center program. Okay, so the Industry Grants Program is a not-for-profit, industry-led initiative. It has 10 energy companies funding development and demonstration projects to accelerate innovation. So essentially, industry is solving its own problems and finding solutions to do that. This is designed by energy companies, for energy companies, helping them adopt startup technology that cuts emissions and improve environmental performance in their operations. The mission is that we identify, select, fund, and oversee breakthrough demonstration projects, turning startups' great ideas into market-ready solutions. We are essentially bridging innovation and commercialization. A lot of good technology stalls right there, and we understand that fully. We kind of close that gap and move the potential into performance. Through this program, millions have been committed, partnering with government and private financing to multiply the impact. The result today is that we have real-world adoption by energy companies across Canada with measurable gains in emissions reduction, efficiency, and competitiveness. And these are just the results to date. We have approved 121 projects, committing about $32 million from the industry, with total project value of about $370 million. The key outcomes, we have 41 projects completed. 13 of these technologies are in the market today. So we proudly kind of can say that NGIF kind of enabled them to be in the market. Through this work, 36 patents have been created, almost 400 jobs have been supported, and there is significant emissions reduction potential through the work these startups are doing in the ecosystem. With that, I will hand it over to you, Myron.
Thank you, Akil. Appreciate it. So on the Methane Reduction Demonstration Program, it's a $9 million initiative that's aimed at de-risking and accelerating the commercialization of impactful pre-commercial methane innovations through pilot testing, industrial demonstrations, and various other value propositions. So this $9 million initiative and the program is spread across 3 fixed intake cohorts. We wrapped up cohort 1 earlier this year, and the window to submit an application to be considered for funding for cohort 2 is currently open. If you are interested in participating, you're eligible to receive up to $750,000 in non-dilutive grant funding, or up to 75% of the project's eligible expenses. The MRDP is designed to de-risk methane mitigation and reduction innovations and methane measurement and quantification solutions that have the oil and gas industry as a target market. In particular, we're looking at innovations tailored to applications in upstream oil and gas and midstream and downstream natural gas industries. Given that pilot testing and demonstrations are a huge theme of the program, in order to be eligible to apply, your innovation or your technology needs to fall under the TRL 7 to 9 bandwidth. With that being said, we're also cognizant that not all product roadmaps are the same. We will be accepting TRL 6 applications as well if the proponent, that is you, can allude to an accelerated pathway towards commercialization. This program is eligible to any startup or small and medium enterprise globally. It isn't a requirement for you to be incorporated in Canada in order to be eligible to apply. With that being said, the only geographic constraint is that the deployment or the testing of your technology take place in the province of Alberta here in Canada. So what is the value to be gained by applying to the program, and why do I think you should apply? The first is pretty much fairly obvious that there's non-dilutive capital up for grabs. As mentioned before, proponents are eligible to receive up to $750,000 Canadian dollars in non-dilutive funding. What makes this program a bit unique is that it's pooled capital coming from both the industry and from the GOA through the APA. The second value prop is access to industry demonstration sites. Most of the applicants that we've engaged with in the past have told us about the hurdles in getting into a room with some of these oil and gas operators and getting them to offer up a testing site for technology innovators to de-risk the technology. We take care of that for you through this program. The third value prop I want to talk about is the feedback that you get through the program. The evaluators of your technologies are your future customers and belong to the industry. Getting that adopter-centric feedback is so critical for your commercial rollouts. We've had proponents in the past refine their product roadmaps, and it's fed them very well. The last value prop is actually leveraging ngif's relationships in the ecosystems. We've made introductions and opened doors to our trusted partners and other funding agencies to get more funding to our recipients, and we intend to continue doing so for this program. With that being said, it should be no surprise that the MRDP is quite competitive. We do encourage you to take the time to draft very good quality applications and submit them to be considered for funding. The good news is we are here to help. Do reach out to us if you need any help on crafting your applications. Shown on the screen are just some examples on some innovations and solutions we want to de-risk. I just want to reiterate that the solutions that you see on your screen merely serve as examples. As long as you have an innovation or a technology that falls under the methane mitigation and reduction category, or is capable of measuring and quantifying methane, and it's applicable to the oil and gas industry here in Canada, you will be eligible to apply. For more information on this front, do read the intake guidelines and challenge statement documents on our website, or reach out to us through email, and we'd be happy to address any queries. The MRDP application process is stage-gated and comprises of 3 stages. At present, we're at stage 1, or the intake stage, and it's predominantly centered around the expression of interest. The expression of interest is a concise 13-page document that has prompts centered around your innovation, your team, your environmental benefits, commercial rollout, and the project that you're going to de-risk. Once the deadline's over and we get all the expression of interest, we do a thorough review to see if you have all the information needed to do a sound decision. Once that's done, we score your application and gather all the industry evaluators into one room to make a decision as a group on who we're going to shortlist for stage 2, which is detailed due diligence. If you're one of the few shortlisted applicants for stage 2, you'd be asked to submit a more detailed investment proposal, and we'll also be conducting site visits where you can orally dictate your value proposition to the industry evaluators. Once we wrap that up, we do follow a similar exercise of scoring your application, gathering all the industry evaluators in one room, and making a decision as a group on who's going to be the recipient of the fund. If you're one of the shortlisted recipients of the MRDP cohort 2, you will then proceed to stage 3, which is contracting and project management, where we sign a formal contribution agreement and kickstart the project. In terms of timelines, this is a multi-year program and comprises of 3 cohorts. Cohort 1 is behind us, and currently the window to submit an application for cohort 2 is open. If you are interested in applying, the deadline to submit an application is the 29th of September. We will communicate outcomes of stage 1 for cohort 2 sometime in November. And if you're one of the shortlisted applicants, you'll be asked to submit your detailed investment proposal towards the end of January. We'll commence site visits shortly after and hopefully expect to communicate the outcomes of cohort 2 sometime in March. Just to note that if you are selected for funding, we do expect the contract to be signed, we do expect the contribution agreement to be signed in 12 weeks, and the maximum length of your project should be no more than 18 months. For more information on this, do send us an email or do read the intake guideline documents. In terms of eligibility, I like categorizing them in 3 buckets. So the first is the applicant. This program is eligible to technology innovators globally. As long as you belong or as long as you're incorporated in a non-sanctioned UN country, you will be eligible to apply. You also need to be either a small to medium enterprise or a startup. Our definition of both is as follows. An SME, or a small or medium enterprise, is an entity that employs fewer than 500 employees. And a startup is an entity that employs less than 100 employees and generates less than 25 million Canadian dollars in annual revenue. In terms of project eligibility, when you submit an application, you need to outline a project baseline whose scope entails developing a technology from a starting TRL to a graduating TRL. In this scope, you need to incorporate the demonstration or pilot testing of your technology that has to take place in Alberta, preferably in one of ngif's industry grant member sites. Now, it isn't a requirement for you to have a secure demonstration host at the time you apply. You can submit an application without a support letter or a secured demonstration host. We will pair you up with someone in the industry and we'll surface up those conversations at the appropriate time. We do encourage you, however, to begin those conversations much early on to further strengthen your application. Another note on the project is the maximum length of the project should be no more than 18 months. In terms of eligibility within the context of your technology, it has to be a qualifying methane technology that's relevant to oil and gas. So the innovation is either methane mitigation and reduction or methane measurement and quantification. It also has to fall within the TRL 7 to 9 bandwidth. We use NRC definitions for technology readiness levels, and we encourage you to do the same thing on your end. As mentioned before, we are mindful that not all product roadmaps are the same. We will also consider TRL 6 applications, provided the proponent can demonstrate an accelerated pathway towards commercialization. A common question we get is how do we evaluate applications and what do we look for? It is quite eclectic and diverse, especially because we're industry-driven and industry-led. But a few high-level themes. The first thing we look at is the relevance to the oil and gas industry. What is the value proposition for the adopter of your technology? What are the environment benefits to be gained when your technology is deployed? And what are the economics of your technology within the context of CapEx and OpEx? The second high-level category we look at is the innovation itself. How strong is your technology? What's the scientific basis and what's the status of the intellectual property? Look at how your tech compares to competing incumbents out there and what are the gaps it takes to develop your technology before hitting market. The third thing we look at is your project plan in general. We like something very clear, simple, and very appropriate. Does your budget and timelines actually appropriately mirror the scope that you alluded to in your application? And what's your pathway to commercialization and product roadmap looks like? The last high-level theme we look at is the project delivery team. What's your track record of execution? Do you have the right quality of resources and the right number of resources to educate the scope that you alluded to in your application? Traits along those lines. A quick note on IP and confidentiality. All IP rights that are gained during the project remain vested with you, which is the applicant. The only thing that NGIF retains the rights of is the project research results, including without limitation technical data, reports, analysis, and any technical discussion that's held during the project rollout. We will surface these conversations again at the appropriate time when we sign a contribution agreement if you are one of the recipients of the fund. On a similar thread on confidentiality, it's something that we take quite seriously. We will not disclose anything that is shared to us to the public unless explicitly requested by you or it becomes a part of the public domain. So a quick note on the application process and how you can submit an application for cohort 2 of the MRDP. The main meat of the application is the expression of interest or EOI template. And I'll dive to that in a later slide in a short bit. But essentially, it has 5 high-level themes that need to allude to, which entails your team or your organizational details, your innovation or the technology, the value proposition to a future customer, the project baseline, and what are the GHG benefits of your technology. To submit an application, head on to the MRDP website on the NGIF website page and click Apply here. A quick note that I encourage everyone to read through the application documents that are on the website, and those comprise of the intake guidelines document, the eligible cost criteria, and the FAQs. Once you click Apply Now, you'll be redirected to the grant portal. If you have submitted an application with us in the past, you can use the credentials that you've already used. If you're new to the interface, click Register here, and you'll be redirected to create an account. If you are new, you will be asked some pretty simple details to create an account, and will be directed to the main landing page. To view the cohort 2 of the MRDP, click on Funding Programs Currently Open. Once clicked, you'll be rerouted to this page, and to enter the application, all you have to do is click Apply Now. Once you're in, the application process has 2 tabs. So contact information and a tab that says Stage 1. Contact information does have some pretty basic information, how you've heard about us and who's our main point of contact throughout the delivery of the program. I've intentionally put this slide here because there have been hurdles on the interface glitching in the past. In the event that happens, do click Save Draft, and it should take care of itself. When you hit Stage 1, there will be a couple of fields that you need to jot in online. The main meat of the application, however, is the expression of interest section. You need to download the template by clicking the hyperlink, populate the template by answering the prompts and questions in there, and then upload your final submission before clicking Submit. The expression of interest template looks sort of like this. I do want to reiterate that quality is a huge thing we look at. Please take your time to craft good quality applications, and please follow the instructions that's there on the template. If you have any doubts on that front, don't hesitate to reach out to us or send us an email. If you have an approved projects by any one of NGIF's trusted partners, which are the 9 agencies you see on your screen, and you have a funding gap in the last 9 months, there is a possibility for you to be directly routed to Stage 2 of our application process. Do send us a quick email. We do have to ask you some clarifying questions to know more about your technology. In terms of next steps, do reach out to us for help or feedback on crafting your expression of interest. We're always happy to help. We have 2 office hours penciled in 2 weeks from today and again in September. You can sign up for them on our website. If you are at TRL 9 and you don't know what methane reduction program to apply for, whether it's NGIF's demonstration program or ERA's deployment program, do send us a quick email and we'd be happy to help you out. Most of the folks attending today's webinar are in the methane space. If you haven't heard of the Methane Innovation Collaborative already, do check it out. It's a great repository which is free to test your technology, whether you're ready to scale or you're still early on and want free lab testing. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. The best way to do that is through email at mrdp@ngif.ca. With that being said, I will open the floor to questions and hand it over to Dini.
Thanks, Myron. So we have a couple of questions coming in, but we'll start with the questions we have received so far live. So the first question is, the eligible expense document requires GHG reduction verification by a third party pre-approved by NGIF. If the applicant's own technology is what's generating the measurement and reduction data, can that some technology or company serve as a verifier, or does it need to fully independent of the applicant? How does a third-party company get verified through NGIF?
Okay. Yeah, so the third party needs to be independent of the applicant itself. There are credible third parties in the methane quantification space. If you need some of the recommendations, we can certainly provide you with that. But the data that's been produced would be an input to that third-party verification on the overall quantification work. This is still going to be a desktop study. The expectation is not to do at an early stage, not to do an MRV kind of verification for greenhouse gas emissions.
Thanks, Akhil. Other question from Khalil. For a project that spans both methane mitigation and reduction and methane measurement and quantification, does it need to be submitted under one primary category, or can it be presented as both? Does the 40% program funds cap on measurement and quantification affect a project that's primarily mitigation, but includes a measurement and verification component?
It totally depends on the project itself, and we'll have to probably understand this a little bit more to appropriately kind of advise you on the situation. But general sense would be that for the project that you're proposing, the technology is the core. So we want to see the technology is de-risking. If you have two different technologies that you're trying to de-risk through this particular program, then you can definitely look into kind of submitting two different applications, or it could be a combination of both. But we'll have to probably see and learn about this a little bit more to appropriately advise you on this.
Thanks, Akhil. For everyone, you can unmute yourself and raise your hand to ask any question needed. We'll go to the next question. Would NGIF Accelerator help in matching the technology provider with industry partners to demonstrate the technology under real-world operating conditions?
That's right. And NGIF has 10 natural gas operators who are part of the program itself. And the mandate is to also provide access to demonstration sites as part of the MRDP program. At an appropriate stage within the program itself, we will start to kind of engage with you on those kind of conversations. understand what you are looking for from our demo host in terms of your requirements, and then appropriately work with you and facilitate those conversations with the right operator who would be able to offer the live operating site for testing.
Thanks, Akhil. We have a hand raised. Can you please unmute yourself and ask a question, Mazir?
Hi, thank you for this meeting. My name is Mazir. I'm from GDFate. I saw, Miron, I saw a slide about the other organization contribution like NRC IRAP and Alberta Innovate. And I just want to ask, do you repeat what was the context of that slide?
Yeah, for sure. Akhil, I'll take this one if that's okay. So if you have an approved project from the following 9 agencies that are shown on the screen, and you are eligible for the MRDP, which is the program that the webinar is held for, there is an opportunity for you to skip this first stage and directly go to stage 2. So you don't have to submit an expression of interest. You'll be directly brought into this stage where we ask you for a more detailed information.
So, but then what is the vehicle for that? Should I send an email? Because if I don't put the EOI, then it means that we're not included in the program.
Yeah, you need to reach out to us. So send us an email. Ideally, you have a support letter from one of these agencies, and you also have a funding gap. So you don't have all the secured funds needed to execute the project. The email would be the best way to reach out for that.
To you?
MRDP@ngif.ca.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Just to add on that, when you would be sending this email, you can expect that there would be some back and forth in terms of just kind of understanding what this project is, what this technology is, and we'll do a quick kind of review on our end whether it kind of fits within the mandate of the program itself to bring you directly into stage 2. So those conversations will happen as you try and reach out to us.
Yeah, sure. Of course, you have to understand the scope and stuff. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question from Angeline. Question on proposed project relevance. Does a project supporting renewable natural gas production fit within the program? More specifically, can increasing renewable natural gas production from landfills by improving landfill gas collection, which in turn reduces methane emissions from the landfill, be considered an applicable project under this program?
The landfill scope is outside the mandate of the MRDP. It's specifically for the emissions reduction from oil and gas operations. The landfill application would be outside the scope. But if there is something where you can capture from an oil and gas facility methane and then use it to make it a more valuable product, that could be an eligible project within the MRDP framework.
Thanks, Akhil. And the question from Chris. Could this program be used to pay for a license for a TRL7 digital optimization solution?
We will have to review the overall scope of the project and then maybe reconcile that with the eligible cost for the project itself. Typically, it is expected that the license or all the background IP for the project must be secured before we enter into the contribution agreement. But we'll have to double check on giving you any confirmation on that one. So maybe we can circle back or connect with you after this webinar.
Other question, can a company apply for two technologies in different TRL levels?
The short answer is yes, but you also want to see that the technologies are different and they have their own path to scale up and de-risk. But the short answer is yes, you can apply for two different projects for two different technologies.
Thanks, Akhil. Other question, regarding pilot demonstration and testing, do the test facilities and sites have to be within Alberta or Canada? Any thought on international, multinational test facilities and sites?
The MRDP program is designed for demonstrations in Alberta, preferred with exception to do some demonstrations in British Columbia. And that's the boundary for this particular program.
Can methane mitigation and reduction on landfill qualify? I think you already answered for this question. So other question, who can we speak about our technology? It would be a high value in a technology demonstration venue as well as operationally. We create test technology. This is from John.
Yeah, you can actually speak to Myron and me. So if you can drop us an email on mrdp@ngif.ca, we will be happy to kind of connect with you offline and understand the technology and provide you with the appropriate guidance.
Does this program consider methane slippage from combustion engine and process?
Yes, that's a big priority for us, and that's something that's eligible technology.
How heavily weighted is the innovation factor? For example, our company has a new product which we worked very hard on and are proud to have developed in Canada. And while it's proprietary and it's 100% ours, it isn't exactly anything novel. Ryan.
Yeah, I think we would need to understand this a little bit more and have the full context. We do look at innovativeness, and that's a high marker. But at the same time, we also look at the impact of the technology on the overall emissions reduction potential here. So it may not be innovative, but market may have a gap. So that might be something we want to maybe understand a little bit more. If there is gap in the market and this could be a solution, then this may be a good fit for the program.
Thanks, Akhil. Another question from Steve, LCO Technologies. Does the funding include major modification to an existing product?
So upgrades to the existing product could be eligible, but we would need to maybe understand a little bit more in terms of what kind of impact and the for example, if it's an efficiency gain or whatever that looks like, then what kind of an impact it is overall on those upgrades, and those would be essentially evaluated during the assessment phase to get a better sense on the overall impact. But in short, it's eligible. Overall kind of impact would need to be assessed during evaluation.
Thanks, Akhil. In the methane measurement and quantification program, what is required for the quantification requirements or accuracy? Does this relate to Directive 060? Is there any other value for additional hydrocarbon direction or just methane alone?
We have developed challenge statements in which kind of highlights some of the requirements on this. And Marin, I don't know if you have those ready with you, if you can speak to that a little bit in terms of our monitoring and quantification requirements or guidance on that one.
So it's quite technical and granular. I'm not going to go through it line by line, but I do encourage everyone to do go through it. You can access it either on Smart Simple when you submit an application or on our website on the main page.
Yeah, but to answer your question, it's essentially there are certain kind of requirements there on the monitoring and quantification stuff. So you can look at that. We also kind of are very keen on understanding how the market rollout looks like for you and what that adoption would mean and what that cost would be for the product. So it's a comprehensive review, not just technical, but expanding into other areas as well.
Thanks, Akhil and Myron. Next question. As a UK company, can we access this funding without a Canadian office? Sophie from Miracle.
The short answer is yes. What I would say is international companies are eligible. However, the preference is given to Alberta-based company, followed by Canadian companies, and then the international outside Canadian companies. We do have a requirement that all the testing and the demonstration needs to be done in Alberta, with some exceptions in BC. So when you're framing these projects, you can keep this at the back of your mind.
Thanks, Akhil. And the question, can AI software platforms that support emissions-related operational data, measurement workflows, and operator decision support be eligible? And what evidence is required for TRL and field demonstration readiness? Calgary, Schenk.
So digital technologies would be eligible for the MRDP. We do want to understand what the impact is and what we are trying to do with that. It's something that we can discuss offline, or if you submit the application, we'll review that. In terms of the TRL, we do want to see the requirement is or the eligibility is TRL 7 to 9, anything that falls within that, and that's your start TRL. There's an exception for TRL 6. What it means is that if there is a pathway for the technology to be accelerated or fast track from TRL 6 to market, then those would be under exception. But primarily, we want to see all the data establishing that the technology has been at the right start TRL. So if it is at TRL 7, we want to see that the TRL 6 is completed, which means that you have demonstrated this technology in a lab facility, which is with all the systems in place, and is essentially have the right kind of outcomes or successful outcomes that you were looking for. So we would ask for those kind of backup data to substantiate where the testing has been done, some of the outcomes from these testings, and to substantiate the start TRL.
Thank you, Akhil. And the question, we have a SOFC tech with natural gas reformer and would like to support the methane for our 1.5 kilowatt per 2 kilowatt CHP system. Any suggestion?
We can discuss this in more detail offline, but with this, let's say, one-liner, I could say this may be a fit for the remote power generation systems that can help reduce methane emissions through pneumatics or other applications. So we can actually look or connect offline to better understand what the application of this technology is and where you are thinking the market would be.
Thank you, Akhil. Next, what expectation come with potential funding through this initiative?
Sorry, come again.
What expectations come with the potential funding through this initiative?
I think Myron, if I'm reading your question correctly, or Myron mentioned a couple of requirements in his presentation, which is that the TRL or the de-risking of the technology. So the project needs to be structured in a way where you are de-risking a technology, and we would like to see that TRL lever kind of moving on that TRL scale. So if it's a demonstration, we do want to see that it's been demonstrated, tested in the live environment, and you have the outcomes. The project may be successful, the outcomes may be what you're looking for, or maybe the performance may not be what you were anticipating. That's perfectly fine, because that's the nature of the early stage testing and demonstration. We understand that, but the intent is that the project is being developed to de-risk a technology, and through this funding, we will enable you to not just kind of have funding, but also provide you access to the demonstration sites and access to the industry itself when you work with NGIF and our industry operators. So that's the expectation. Also, that the project needs to be completed within 18 months from the day of contracting. So when you're building the project scope, please keep that kind of with you, that it needs to be within 18 months.
Thanks, Akhil. The question, we submitted our application for the first round of MRDP and were rejected. However, we believe our application was strong and there are no competitors to our tech. Is there any sense of submitting for the next round?
I think the best guidance would be that you connect with us offline on the particular project, and we do offer kind of debriefs to the unsuccessful applicants. We can look at our notes and provide you with guidance on some of the things that might help you better kind of submit your next application or this application. But I would strongly encourage you to kind of reach out to us offline, and we can discuss that in more depth.
Thank you, Akhil. Other question, can funding be used to directly implement new methane reducing technology on site?
I believe the funding is for that, which is where you would develop a product and the product would go to a site for testing and validation. So I'm not sure if I'm missing anything on this question, but if I'm reading it the way it's been said, then the short answer is yes. The funding is to de-risk the technology and to enable you to be at site for demonstrations.
How many pilots would you need to run in order to de-risk for NGIF pilots?
There's no specific requirement. I think that's would need to come from from the applicant itself, where we would be looking at what kind of data set do you require to appropriately demonstrate that the technology is working. And this would mean different environments, different operating conditions, to say that the technology has actually progressed to the next stage. So as part of the project scope, you might want to include how many sites you want to be testing into, what kind of environments you would like this technology to be tested. And in the past, we have projects where we had done multiple demonstrations. to the order of more than 10, 20. And there are situations when we have only one demonstration. So it totally depends on the technology itself and what you intend to achieve out of this program.
On the question, we have a TRL7 software solution that provides business intelligence through methane prediction, data analysis, and custom dataset creation. Is there a way these funds can be leveraged for oil and gas operators to purchase this software?
This funding is very specific for startups and SMEs to de-risk the technology. So this funding is not meant for oil and gas operators. If you wanna maybe explore that and maybe see if the technology is a better fit for the methane reduction deployment program, that's where the funding is for the oil and gas operators to deploy technologies which is commercial in the market. I would encourage you to reach out to ERA and have kind of conversations with them.
Thanks, Akhil. Are there any fees to apply if accepted? And are there any location requirements?
There's no fee to apply. What I do want to say is that the application or the efforts that are put into making or submitting applications is something that's not eligible for funding. So that's not part of the project cost. I do want to maybe just kind of highlight that as part of the comment. I missed, Tini, what was the last question? The second part of this.
Are there any requirements for location, specific location?
The location requirement is that it has to be, the technology must be demonstrated in Alberta. An exception is British Columbia.
Thanks, Akhil. Next question. Are there opportunities for software using satellite data to participate in benchmarking its technology in detection, allocation, and quantification?
So I think we probably would need to understand this a little bit more to appropriately guide you. But based on what I'm hearing is that the technologies that would be supported through this particular program needs to have a pathway for operators to deploy in the future, rather than, let's say, being an intelligence tool. So I believe if the intent is to make it more like a benchmarking tool, maybe something we need to kind of have a side conversation on that. And may not be, let's say, a great fit, but if this is more about doing better on analytics and something of that sort with the data, then that could be, let's say, used by oil and gas operators when commercial. This could be a good fit. So we probably need to understand the application a little bit more to appropriately guide you on the fit with the program.
Thanks, Akhil. This is for all the attendees. If you have any further questions, please raise your hands and unmute yourself and ask the questions. Monica, please go ahead.
I was just wondering, I think I heard that there's a third cohort, and I was just curious what the timelines are for that cohort.
Myron, this is probably for you, but I can say, Monica, that Just based on my memory, this is somewhere in May of 2027 would be our intake deadline. Myron, do you want to highlight that?
No, pretty spot on. I think the window to submit an application for cohort 3 would be open sometime around Q1 of next year. With that being said, the deadline would definitely be around May. But circle back with us. Like you should be able to submit an application at any time during the portal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So just in case if you miss your deadline, then you can still apply. But then the intake deadline would be for cohort 3 would be in May. So we'll not look at those applications before May of 2027.
Do reach out to the team at MRDP@ngif.ca if you have any further questions. We'll be happy to answer them all. Thanks for joining. Over to you, Myron.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, folks.